Throughout history, people have discovered many ways to hide things for others to find, all the way back to cave carvings in rocks, along with treasure left by others even though that was sometimes not meant to be discovered. And now in our modern times, Easter eggs in video games. In 1979, a man named Warren Robinett, who worked under Atari, was programming the now infamous game Adventure.
This game was something special.
It had the first ever Easter egg, one that gave credit to Warren and paved the way for the world of communication through Easter eggs. This small feature added into the game gave Warren a way to directly communicate to the players. Though this was just the name on his work, Warren knew it was a big deal, later saying, "I hid my name in the game." That was considered the first video game Easter egg. I didn't call it an Easter egg, I called it my signature.
The feature from Warren was still pivotal in giving that bridge of communication between players and developers, while also giving light to a darker subject, which was the battle of developers and recognition from the companies they worked for. Going into the 80s, gaming at this time was also rising in popularity and was becoming mainstream. Today, when looking at the 150,000 sales, it's almost nothing compared to 2020 sales of the largest game ever, with 20 million units sold. A massive jump in the market size and following for video games has occurred throughout since Pong.
Pong was a two-dimensional game where players would bounce a ball back and forth. Now there are massive open-world games that quite literally have their world inside of them, growing to the point where one video game just to complete can be up to 60 hours. In 1972, the gaming industry was worth around $1 billion. When looking at the industry today, it has blown up, with gaming being worth around $158 billion.
Warren went on to say that he and his fellow developers were treated disrespectfully, and said that their names weren't in the game to take away any leverage developers would have to make more money, get some rights to the game, etc. Robinett is openly against the way that Atari treated him, and he was against the shunning that would occur between himself and the other developers. When it came to creating the actual egg, Warren said that it had to be hard to find, but not impossible. He wanted to get his word out without the Atari game testers finding it. Warren was so prepared he planned on starting a rumor of the Easter egg to help people find it. He would go on to quit Atari and threaten them with holding letters that people had written in the excitement of the egg. A little addition to the game leads to a massive uproar, and not just a cool little addition, it may have seemed.
With Warren paving the way to Easter eggs as we know them in
Video games. Developers of games today are using them, less for the reason of recognition, and some of them being far less significant to the industry overall. Easter eggs have a special way of talking to the player. Developers need solid communication of themselves to the players. It's known that games that listen to the players have a more successful run in the market.
For example, Fortnite. The free-to-play game everybody has heard of, and though it can be controversial, is the perfect showcase of communication. With the game being broken into seasons, the map would be constantly changing. Epic Games would have open social media, constantly taking feedback, even recently asking the players what characters they would like to be added. Fortnite, with each new season, will litter the map with Easter eggs and give the players a chance to go out and find them. This very simple but spectacular idea led to its massive community of around 350 million players in its total over its lifetime. With massive outlets like IGN covering the additions to the game, along with people going out and hunting with their friends, Easter eggs push the game over the edge.
Another game company that comes to mind is the company Bone Loaf, who developed a recent game called Gang Beasts. With multiple levels littered with Easter eggs, we reached out and asked them a few questions on the development of their games, the significance of the Easter eggs they add, and if they feel represented in the game. Here's what they said. What got you all interested in the world of video games?
We set up Bone Loaf as we grew up playing popular multiplayer arcade, multiplayer computer, and console games, so we wanted to see if we could make fun games.
What personal spin do you, as developers, add in your game?
Bone Loaf is a small independent game company set up to make a series of experimental multiplayer party games with physics animation systems. We want the playfulness and silliness of these animation systems to be a key feature of Bone Loaf games.
If or when you add an Easter egg, what goes into the thought behind it?
It is fun to add objects and references to our games and prototypes to make each other laugh and to make references to the company's history and influences. Something that the company wants to add, just general reasons behind them, there are free or low-cost educational tools and resources for learning about making games. We want to make some similar resources to support people interested in learning about how Gang Beasts are made when we can.
As developers, do you feel well represented in your games, or get enough credit?
We made the Gang Beasts pre-alpha builds and other game prototypes for fun, and did not expect to release a full commercial game. Our initial plan was to release a series of low-budget or ad-supported mobile games. Gang Beasts has won or been nominated for some awards, but recognition is not as important to us as seeing people having fun playing our games.
As soon as Easter eggs had boomed in popularity, things like IGN came around, a company solely focused on gaming and everything to do with it. They created articles, videos, and everything else to talk about in the new games. And you guessed it, the Easter eggs.
Here at IGN love looking for Easter eggs in our video games. You know, those little secrets that are tucked away in the corners. So,
on the other hand, regular people creating videos for the internet would be out hunting as well, looking for some type of recognition for finding the next big secret in their favorite game.
Big-time companies like Nintendo and Sony made Easter eggs that players loved, such as Seamus appearing in Super Mario Legend of the Seven Stars. That example is just one of marketing to improve sales amongst a company, or just add a little fun addition to add excitement and mystery to the players that discovered or heard of it. When big-name games and companies make Easter eggs and callbacks to past products, it's no wonder organizations are formed to search for them, and allow the consumer to be able to truly experience all the hidden gifts that their favorite game has to offer.
The most exciting thrill of the hunt might just be the idea that there are Easter eggs out there that nobody knows about, and thus, the player could be the one to find it. It keeps players interested and personalized towards their game.
Easter eggs are huge for many people, and have even created jobs in companies like IGN to go out searching for them. No doubt Warren Robinett paved a path for developers getting credit for the games they developed. Developers didn't get credit for their work on video games, and by making that Easter egg, Warren Robinett gave credit to himself and paved a path for giving credit, and also creating that bridge of communication.
He also made it possible for developers to be able to create their own spin on their games, add something. As developers, they can add a bit of creative charm in the game that they develop, thanks to Warren. Developers could even be able to communicate with players through these Easter eggs, creating communities online, again IGN, and adding that sense of mystery. Whether it's just a wink at the audience or something more significant, developers communicate to players through Easter eggs, thanks to Warren Robinett and Adventure.